Hey everyone. So I decided to do a video today about lunging and the therapeutic or the how to lunge in a way that's healthy for your horse and actually builds them up rather than causing issues. And I'm using this lovely young man here. This is Ziggy. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him before I get started. So Ziggy is I believe he's 8. He might be younger than that. Off the track thoroughbred. And he came to my place. There's flies. There's bad flies. He came to my place in the spring, late fall last year, actually, or winter. And sorry, I can't remember. And was owned by a lovely lady locally who had been working with him, but realized that maybe there was more. Yes, I know, baby. Needed a little more help with him than and needed someone with more experience and that kind of thing. And was an incredibly lovely, generous woman and did really good work with him. Got him straight off the track, doing all the stuff that, all the hard work of the groundwork, and even rode him a bit. There, you can have that apple. That'll keep you happy. But he was giving her not trouble, but she just knew that she needed some help with him and that he had some talent with him and wanted to develop it. So he came here and I fell pretty much instantly in love with him. He reminds me incredibly like my horse up in Canada, who is one of my top heart horses, Royal, who I showed a little bit, but I got him from the track, went through a whole health issue with a bladder stone, which is a whole other story. We won't get into that there. But I ended up getting him pretty much to pre-St. George. I always say it's to about 4th level, but if I'm really honest, I could have showed him pre-St. George if I had been here, but I had to give him time off because he had foot trouble, and then he ended up colicking and dying at the age of, I believe he was 13, before I got a chance to do any showing with him once his feet had healed, which broke my heart. And anyway, this guy looks like him in a lot of ways. He's bigger. He's a little bit better built. Royal was a very challenging build, yet he was the most generous, sweet horse. And this guy is very sweet and generous. But they both are kind of sarcastic and a touch grumpy. Not grumpy like they're angry, but he's just this cool dude who kind of knows what he likes and what he doesn't like, and he will try all day for you, and if you appreciate him, he loves you. If he doesn't feel appreciated, he gets a little like why am I doing this? I adore him. I fell in love with him, and she was kind enough to leave him here with me, and I appreciate that more than I can say. He has been in training off and on since last winter. Had a bit of challenges this spring in that he one day blew both his front shoes while my farrier happened to be on holidays, and that took a bit to get him back into work because I had to wait for the shoes to get back on. He wasn't sore. He's got decent feet actually, although his one foot I'm having a little trouble with this wet dry cycle. It's not been very kind to him. But his biggest challenge is, let's go over here. Look at his build. So he's a long, sorry, this zoom might make him look a little distorted, but hopefully not. He is a long, lean kind of dude, and he's very athletic. He's got great movement in his hind leg. But if you can see here, this guy has quite a little hunter's bump. I don't know if it can, let me zoom out here. Yeah, there we go. You can see that here. Now, go ahead and Google what a hunter's bump is, because here's the deal. I'm not a vet, and I tend to get all the technical terms mixed up, but it is an injury to the sacroiliac area, to his pelvis, and here's why I'm doing this video is I've had many horses off the track. I'm not a rich girl. I tend to take problem horses, and I tend to take the ones that nobody wants, and I got Royal for free because he was a funny looking dude. I've worked with a lot with this issue. His is pretty prominent. I've seen worse. And some of them that it affects their hind leg. It affects their connection from their hind leg through their back. They tend to feel disconnected. And they'll go along, but they'll have trouble picking themselves up. They'll have trouble kind of turning, lifting their chest, because, you know, you need the hind leg. I know, honey, I'm sorry. But when I started, and I knew this when I started working with him, but I have the experience and I thought I'm going to try, because, you know, he's too beautiful and sweet and wonderful and he likes to work. So I didn't want him to be sitting in a field somewhere. So I started work with him. The key to working through something like this is time, slow, gradual changes, lots of groundwork, and teaching him how to move in a way that helps fix the problem, not make it worse. Open frame, letting him stretch and reach while lifting his chest. Now, everyone will say, well, when they stretch, they, you know, they fall on their forehand. It's like a horse basculing over the jump. I'm not saying you have to get the horse's nose in the dirt, but you have to allow the chest to stay up, like he's actually, he's kind of doing it. He's a little impatient with me, but you need him to reach and stay lifted. He doesn't need to reach the ground, although he will, but then he tends to fall on his shoulder and go sideways, and you'll see that in the video I'm going to take. I'm going to experiment with here how to take it. But I need him to lengthen and reach so that it allows his hind legs to swing, his back to loosen and swing, and allows his hind legs to work in the most efficient way, so that there's no stress on his joints and there's no stress through. He's not tight anywhere. He's loose, 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 loose. When I ride him, I still ride him quite long. I don't do, when he was really in shape, before he pulled both shoes, before we then had 2 weeks of hot weather and smoke, he was actually starting to really click. We were doing shoulder in on the circle, shoulder in on the straightaway. He was starting to pick himself up. I could sit the trot here and there. He has trouble. He actually showed me early on, and now still, that he can work through this. I don't know how far. You know, I don't know how far he'll go. I don't care. My job is to make his life better, not worse. And if he ends up being a lower level dressage horse that, you know, is happy with his job, I'm fine with that. However, he's shown me moments of brilliance where I think he can work through this. And I'm going to try. If he tells me he can't, I'll listen to him. And I'll find someone for him who will appreciate what he has to offer. But right now, he kind of tells me that he thinks he can work through it. Part of it, I think, is because he likes to lift his shoulders. He really does. And that's what I'm all about. I want the horse's front end up, his wither and his shoulders lifting, his chest lifting, and then allowing him to swing through. So that's what I've been working on with him. Look at, he just realized the bug thing was there. Oh, he's so cute. He's such an inquisitive little thing. Anyway, so I'm going to do a video on that. And yes, he has this, and that's why I'm lunging him this way. But I'll be honest with you, it's how I do all my horses. However, I take more care with him. He needs to learn how to carry himself straight so that he can lift his shoulders and find his hind legs underneath him. He has great trouble stepping into the canter. It takes him a lot. He has to kind of, and you can feel him disconnect for it. However, it's gotten better and better. So again, I hold out hope that it's going to go well. And I haven't had a vet do any kind of great check on him, because I want him to show me what he's capable of. And if he says no, then I'll have a vet look and I'll go from there. But I am not, so the technical words and the x-rays and that, I tend to kind of shy away from that, because I don't want to pigeonhole him. Royal, if you had taken my Royal horse, the one I told you about, if you had taken video of him or pictures and sent it to someone to judge, or even x-rays, they would have said, oh my God, he can't do this, he can't do that. But Royal got to Prix St. George and there was nothing stopping him from going Grand Prix. Would he have been a magnificent Grand Prix horse? He's a 15-1 and sway back little chestnut thoroughbred. No, he was not going to look like, you know, even some of the classical dressage horses doing it, but he could do it within his way, and that made him happy. He loved it. He loved to work. I used to ride him on the front lawn, and it was, I know my boy. Anyway, so that's what this video is about. And so what I'm doing with him is what I do with all the horses, except with him, I do it longer. I've been doing more lunge work with him, and I let him just take his time. Whereas a horse that's a little bit less challenging, I might not push, but I might challenge a little more here and there. But I'm going to show you what my work is like with him. Again, I just really love this horse. He's got so much try in him, But if he ever told me I can't do it, I would listen. So I'm gonna just end this talk there. So let me just tell you right off the hop, I don't use any attachments. I hate Pessoas, I hate side reins, I hate draw reins. I don't care if they can stretch. I find that everything attached to their mouth while they're lunging tends to just encourage them to lower their neck without lifting their chest. And that is useless. You're gonna turn around. Completely useless. I need to be able to activate him and have him go the same on the lunge as you would under saddle. So my whip and my body are my legs and my seat, and the rope and the rope halter are the reins. And I have had great success with this. And if you don't like it, if you look at this and go, oh, I don't like rope halters, or oh, that's fine. But this is my method, and I cannot tell you how many horses I've rehabbed with this. I'm not trying to brag. I don't make a lot of money doing this. I'm making nothing on him at the moment because he's technically mine. Don't tell my husband. But I just don't, this is my method. So if you don't like it, that's fine. But let me just tell you, it's worked. So I'm going to get to lunging him. Okay, so right off the hop, I'm going to say I don't chase horses. I'm not trying to tire them out. I'm not trying to get them bucking and playing and get the buck out of them. I'm not. If I think a horse is hyper like that, first of all, I always have them turned out a ton, so they usually aren't. But if I think they are, I don't mind a little playtime as long as it's kind of kept contained, you know, like it's not dangerous. I'm not someone who does this, sorry, I'm just adjusting the camera, to tire them. I don't think a tired horse is a happy horse. I think a relaxed and stretched out horse is a happy horse. Here I'm just walking, and you can see what my tools are. I have my rope halter. Now he went to step in, and I use my whip like I would my leg. Oh, there's a bug, and I push his shoulder out. So I'm trying to teach him to walk straight, connect with my hand. Yes, and reach his neck, not dropping his shoulder. And that's why I don't care how much, I don't need him to reach to the ground. There we go. That's nice. Now he's slightly pulling me out of the circle, and on this side I want that because his tendency is to lean on the shoulder and try and pull me in, or fall into me, sorry, not pull me in, but I want him to kind of pull me out, then that's the opposite, right? So I would like that. Good. This allows his back to be relaxed, his long neck is, yeah, he's licking and chewing a whole bunch, his long back, there's flies bugging him, I sprayed him, but his long loose back, his long neck allows his back to be relaxed and loose. And yes, good boy. Yeah, that's what I want. And then his hind legs can swing, and that hunter's bump then, the muscles are at their most relaxed. So it's giving him every opportunity to use his hind legs stepping through properly. Now I lunged him purposely today without a saddle and bridle. I normally put a saddle on because I normally ride him after, but I wanted to show us, and I don't know if this angle is great, so I'm going to do a little bit at this angle, and then I'm going to put the phone on the step stool and do a different angle. So, and you can see occasionally he trips behind, and he also drags his toes because at the moment he just doesn't have the strength and the flexibility to let the hind leg really swing through and land properly, but it's getting there. It comes and goes now. It used to be constant that he dragged his toes, and my farrier even commented that it was less noticeable. So he's getting there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Now, if he goes to fall in, I shoo him out a little with the rope. I've done enough groundwork on him, and I'll show you that after, that he knows now that the whip pointing at his shoulder means step out. And that teaches him to go straight, to keep the shoulders up. Good. And then he pulls a little on the rope, which I want, right? Because I want connection from him. I don't want a loose rope. I want connection so that if I was to ride him, he already knows that kind of moving into my hand is an enjoyable thing. Okay, I'm gonna move him into the trot. This is kind of awkward. This is not at my best because I've got a phone. If you could see me now, I've got a selfie stick shoved into my pants and my belt buckle. That's how I'm filming this. So, I'd like him to keep it. Yes. I don't care that he raised his head and neck. Really don't. Good. Yes. Yes. This is what I'm looking for. Again, if I had attachments on him, he wouldn't swing like this. This wouldn't be doable. It would block him. And this is why anytime, whether you curl the horse's neck from your hand being too strong, or you curl the horse's neck because you're putting side reins on, which is basically like having too strong a rein, it's not good because you block the hind legs. This is what you can see, his back muscles. You can see his hip muscles pumping. Now this is maybe not my most steady lunging because this is really awkward with a selfie stick shoved into my pants. Oh, that sounds so, there we go. I even love that. I love that. And what I do with this is I'll do straightaways. I'll spiral in, spiral out. So I'll take him onto a slightly smaller circle here. I'll stop walking. I walk with him constantly. And I put myself kind of where my leg would be on the saddle. Yes. You can see it's kind of windy and cool this morning and he's doing beautiful. And I ask him a little smaller circle. I'm still walking. I never stay in one spot. Ask him for a little, yes, good, look how, yes. And now back out. Yeah, look at that. Gorgeous. Oh, you beautiful boy. That is that side. Okay, so this might be an easier angle to see body position wise. The other way I realized was a bit awkward, but I kind of wanted to just show what it looked like from my perspective. Now, before I do anything, I do with Ziggy especially, but with all of them, I do work on this exercise where I ask them to cross. I stand a little in front, I keep him a little soft in my hand, and then I ask him to cross with the whip just pointing at his hip. This takes time. He does it very well now, but when I first started with him, he got anxious. It was hard for him, so it had to take a lot of time. And then I start and I move into the lunging once I know that he's finding it easier. And again, I walk with him a lot. I keep him on a short rope or shorter rope, especially him who has trouble with going. And I use my body like, I always think that the horse needs to be long, stretched out, and then feel like they're like Play-Doh. I want them to mold around me. When I put my shoulder and I move into them, I want them to move with me. I want them to give and soften so that when I get under saddle, when they feel pressure on their side from my leg, they are soft and wanting to respond to it. So, and you see when he trots off, sometimes he lifts his head. It doesn't matter. That's great, actually. I prefer him lifting his head than sticking his nose in the dirt because I want him to activate in a way. I'd rather have the horse come up. And I use the whip towards his barrel, and I want to think about him bending in and moving, like not falling onto his shoulder. I want him to keep lifting. So I really like how he's moving here, and you can see he has some trouble getting into the canter, but it's actually gotten much better. And I can move around less, and I let him fall out. I have to say, I let him fall out of the canter. I don't panic about that because I think he gave such a great effort there. But, oh yeah. And then I love it when he stops and comes over to me and says, "Mommy, was I good?" I just think he tries so hard. I do give cookies. I know a lot of people frown on that. I don't care. For me, it works. I think these horses work so hard, especially a guy like him who has issues. I really like to extra reward him. So for me, the big thing here is that the horse flows. He's not running from me. He's balanced. I don't want a horse to, if he rips around, I know he's stiff and he's leaning and falling. So it takes a lot. See there, I turned and I asked, yes, I'm asking him to step over because I could feel that he was falling on his shoulder. So rather than chase him forward and have him fall more and stiffen more, I'm asking him to do yoga, and I'm asking him to move away from me and lift it. And I'd lift his head. I don't try and pull his head down or put his head anywhere. I ask him to lift his chest, lift his head a little, and then find his balance and his bend in that as he reaches. When they reach longer, they can bend more. And they shorten and compress, that's when they get tight and they can't bend. They need, if they're reaching over their top line and their back, then the swing goes through and then you can bend them more. So this side, he's actually gotten quite good. Now he has a lot of trouble bending, and he tweaks his you'll see him twist his pole a little. He wants to look to the outside. And I will pick him up and ask him to step towards him like that and push his shoulder out and ask him to bend. And then I soften and back off. And if that means that he puts his bend back, that's fine, because this is like yoga. And I'm a very stiff person. And if someone said to me, go and do this stretch and hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it, I would get sore and I'd get grumpy. Whereas if they go hold, release, then you can ease yourself into it better. And him being such a trying horse, of course I do it with any horse, but of course I'm going to let him have moments where he's may not be correct, but it's more gentle. Yeah. And there he fell on his shoulder, you could see, and that's why I kind of bring him back. And I thought, no, I think we can do better. And you can see he got discombobulated. So again, I do bring him onto a smaller circle and I say, reach, bend, flow, swing. Now keep that shoulder. And I literally think this in my, and then that was better. Now he still fell a little on his inside shoulder. You can see there, but it's definitely better. And the thing is, he now has a distinctive, I'm trotting, I'm cantering, whereas before he couldn't do that. He kind of fumbled into it. So this thrilled me, and that's why I was so proud of him. And yes, he gets more cookies. So this is all for therapeutic. He needs to be, it's like yoga. He needs to be relaxed. He needs to be flowing. He needs to be happy. And then it will improve him and be ready to ride. So I rode him after I lunged. He did, oh, that's so awful. He did really, really great. He hasn't been worked consistently in months because of, again, he lost his both front shoes. My farrier was on holidays. And then it got really, really hot, really buggy, and really smoky. So I'm thrilled to be back and work with him. He floated along quite nice, still a little tight, but we're getting there. And I just did walk trot. I'm doing most of the canter work on the lunge until it gets easier for him. I didn't video because my phone is almost dead. This video might do it. But thank you all for watching. If you want to see video of him going, sweet little boy, a little nose, feel free to go on my webpage, which is under, or my YouTube, w.fair-dressage. I just my initial and then a period and then fair dressage. There's lots of video of him going when he was more in shape, but we're getting there again. And it's kind of nice to have to restart him again because you have to go back over the basics. But again, I ride him without a noseband. He's in a nice 3-piece egg butt snaffle, no noseband. I don't like holding their mouth shut. If it's a nice plain noseband, I use it like Grayson's was, but I got tired of Grayson, so I took it off of his too. I rode him today in my butterfly tree. I love this saddle. I don't know, I might try a different one on him. He likes my passe, so I might use that on him. The butterfly trees they adjust to every horse, to most horses anyway, but I'm wondering if it's super deep, it's super sensitive, like you feel everything up there on this saddle. It's so close contact, and I wonder if that's maybe overwhelming him a little. But I'm gonna see. I'll try him on a different saddle and I'll try him back in this one. But he did really great. He did a little bit of shoulder in, he leg yielded. I'll try and do a video on him, an update, once he's still got sand around his eye, once he's going more. But again, if you want to see video, I have some video of him on my Facebook page, Wendy Fair Dressage, or my personal one, Wendy Fair, and then also his, or on my YouTube page, which is w.fair-dressage. Thanks everyone.